For a long time now, there's been an urban legend in the gaming community surrounding what's been labelled as one of the worst games of all time. Of course, I'm talking about E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial. If you haven't heard about it yet, it dates back to the early 1980s when the movie was released, so of course they had to get out a video game as fast as possible to cash in on its success. The problem was they rushed it so much it turned into an ugly, unplayable mess, which isn't surprising since they tried to crank it out in barely over a month. Now, because the game was so ungodly horrendous, they naturally couldn't shift any copies, so the majority of them were basically just sitting around gathering dust. In the end, Atari had all the unsold copies as well as some other games and hardware just dumped in a landfill somewhere in New Mexico, where they were never to see the light of day again. Some websites say it was literally millions of copies due to the mass overproduction of the game. Even though there seems to have been proof in the past that the huge landfill containing these games does exist, it still became an urban legend over time. Some say it can't possibly be true that they just dump all these games, and others say it definitely has to be true. But after all this time, we finally have our answer. A small team recently received permission to excavate the landfill in order to search for this treasure trove of terrible games. The team were then backed by Microsoft so they could make a documentary out of it too. And strangely enough, it didn't take long for them to finally find something. They actually found and revealed an old battered copy of E.T. and said there was still more being dug up. I don't know just how much they've actually found at this point, but I love this story. It finally uncovers the truth behind one of the biggest gaming myths. To be honest, I find it surprising that they actually went through all this trouble to dig it all up in the first place. I am curious to see what they'll do next though. I mean, they've dug up all these old games, so now what do they do with them? All I can think of is that they'll either sell them or auction them off for a ton of money. There's probably some serious hardcore gamers out there that would kill to get a copy of this game now just because it came from the landfill site. Whether it's a good game or not, they wouldn't care as long as they get to own a piece of gaming history for themselves. Though it is strange how a game that's been labelled one of the worst video games of all time can suddenly be so incredibly popular. It's just one of those things where it's so bad it's good, I guess. Myself, I couldn't care less about the game, but this whole story is fascinating. It does kinda make me wonder though, how many other gaming legends are out there? And how many of them are true? Only time will tell, I guess. Okay, so that's about all I have to say for now on the subject. So if you've listened this far and enjoyed it, please rate the video and leave any comments you have. See you next time.